Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for being here. I'm Christina Himmelho. I am currently a kindergarten teacher. I'm a second year kindergarten teacher and I actually live in Madrid, Spain. Here I am working at an American school, and today's video is just going to be sit down chit chat. I actually have never done one of these before. I wanted to do a Q&A about like my teaching experience, teaching in the US or teaching in Madrid, and just like questions that you guys have asked me. So I have some questions from like YouTube comments, and then I also have the majority of these questions are coming from my TikTok. So if you don't follow my TikTok, go ahead and follow my TikTok. Also, before we get into today's video, I have a fun little package to open from MAONO. You guys, I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce this brand, but they sent me a little wireless, like little microphone. A wireless microphone. It's the WM620 series. And I wanted to try it out in today's video because I figure like I'm talking so much and we'll be able to see how the audio quality is. But the reason that they reached out to me is because I actually use their microphone and their little like board. What is that called? Clearly I am not like up to date with all the terms. I use this. It's here. For podcasting, I have this. And then I also use this like microphone to do my podcasting. If you don't follow the podcast, I know I have not posted another podcast episode in so long, but there are currently 10 episodes out. So if you want to follow it, it's always in the description of my YouTube videos. Anyways, let's go ahead and first try out this microphone. It's open. Okay, so I've read the instruction manual. I've realized that it does not connect to the type of phone that I have because this has a USB-C connection. So I have it connected to my laptop right now, and we're just gonna like merge the audio and see how the quality compares. So I should put it this way, right? So basically there's like a slide that you can do to control like how loud the volume is. Yeah, okay, it's definitely connected. Okay, so we will hear now the audio of the wireless microphone. If you guys are interested in purchasing this, I will link it in the description. The little MAONO, the wireless. It also comes in a lot of different colors. Also, the case is a charging case, which is very cool. Back to the regular scheduled program, we're going to do a Q&A, and I'm just choosing random questions from some of my TikTok videos about me living in Spain and just like my life here, or even people have asked me questions about like my teaching experience. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, the first question that I have that is very basic is, how did you apply for the job, or how did you become a teacher? And well, how did I become a teacher in Spain? So basically, I went on Google and applied for any international or American school that I could find. And I will list here the link for, well, actually, it's probably better if I put it in the description, the link for all the list of American/international schools in Madrid. And I would just send out like my CV, a cover letter, and an email saying like why I want to move back to Spain, like the whole thing. So that's how I applied for my job that I currently have, which I work at an American school right now. And anyways, yeah, that's pretty much what I did. I literally just did Google searches, and it took hours and hours and hours. But that's how I did it. The second question that I have is, how are classroom behavior issues in Spain? I'm curious as an American teacher. Oh, can I talk about this? All I have to say is like, no matter what school you work at, if it's a private school, because right now I'm working at a private school, if it's a charter school, if it's a public school, if it's a Title I school, kids will be kids and there will be behavior issues anywhere you go. I mean, there's always things going on, and especially This question is really geared towards like what I'm experiencing now. And yes, I have had behavior challenges in my classroom. And like I said, I work at an American school in Madrid. It's a private school. These kids come from like good families, and yes, there still are behavior issues. You're still going to have kids that do not want to do their work, or days where the kids are super emotional. Maybe they haven't slept well the night before. Or in my case, this year I have experienced some extreme behaviors in my classroom, like very destructive tendencies. I've had kids like throw things. I've had kids try to hit me, like lots of behavior challenges this year. And what I do have to say about that is at the school in the US, I felt more supported than I do at the school here, which is really interesting. But I think it also depends on where you work. But my experience was that the school in the States, I was working in Florida, that school was supporting me more and had just more like built-in structure, had more staff to help with behavior problems, as opposed to this American private school. They're not as heavily staffed, and it's just been very challenging. Like, we have a new principal this year, and I think just there isn't a huge behavior management system school-wide at this school compared to the school that I worked at in the US. So yes, there are behavior issues in the classroom. Another question I have is, do I teach in Spanish? I do not teach anything in Spanish. So all of the classes that I teach, I do math, science, social studies, religion, and reading, like phonics, the basics. And in kindergarten, the kids don't take any Spanish classes at all. Once they get to first grade, there is a Spanish teacher who's usually from Spain who will teach them for like an hour a day or an hour every couple days. I don't know exactly their schedule, but no, I don't teach anything in Spanish. Oh, another question about living in Spain. Is the pay decent? It's such an interesting question because you guys all know teacher pay is like not great. But here's what I will have to say about this. Initially, it seems like you're not getting paid as much in Spain, which you're not. The salary is not as high as it is in the US, and part of that is because I'm working at a private school. The other part is that the cost of living is just more in the US, and so my best way to answer this question is that everything is relative. So I get paid, I can be very transparent. I get paid 27,000 euros a year here. And in the US with my master's degree, I was getting paid 47,000, which you're like, oh my goodness, you took like such a huge pay cut coming to Europe. But on the other hand, my rent is so much cheaper here. Cost of living is cheaper. Going out to have drinks with friends is so much cheaper. I don't need a car. My public transportation, since I'm young, costs 8 euros a month to take any public transport, like all throughout Spain. I can do it like unlimited. So everything is so relative. I do feel like I was saving a little bit more in the US as opposed to now, but I also am like traveling a lot and doing a lot of other things that cost money. But I would just say it's very relative and it's a livable salary, like I'm surviving. The next question about Spain specifically, do you need your teacher certification from the US or from Spain? I also realized I did not answer that question properly when I typed it. I needed my teacher certification from the US in order to be hired as an American teacher in Madrid. I don't have a teaching certification from Spain. I have all my certification and endorsements from the US. Which program did you go through to teach abroad? Also, did you buy materials for your class there or ship them from home? I'd love to learn more. So to teach abroad, I this time did not go through a program. I kind of answered that like in the first question. I just like Googled and applied to schools individually. But the first time I lived here, I was an English language assistant and I came on a program called Spain Internships. But I'll list like right here all of the other programs that you can apply to and look into that it's like pretty easy, I would say, to get positions. And that's an assistant position where you will not be the homeroom teacher. You do not have like all the responsibility, which is kind of nice. But the pay is a lot less for if you go that route. The second part, materials for your class there. I brought some of my own materials, which were mainly just like books in English because I was worried about like getting them here. And then honestly, like the resources at this school have been surprisingly not as much as I thought it would. So like first week of school, I did not have crayons. I still struggle like with having enough materials because I don't want to buy materials on my own. And so materials are definitely lacking. And since we don't receive any funding from like the government, I think that's possibly why, since it's a private school. So I brought some, and sometimes like I'll buy like stickers or like little things for my kids, but I really, really try not to spend money on my classroom because it's pretty irritating. But my mom did just bring me Expo markers because we don't have Expo markers here. We have like a different brand, but I just like Expo markers. Oh, did the school at least provide you with housing? Because I know teachers are paid a fraction of what teachers are paid in the US. School did not provide me with housing. I was provided with a like stipend, or like kind of like a not really a bonus, but like a relocation amount of money to help with like the flight and things like that. What curriculum do you teach? This is a great question. So for our phonics curriculum, we teach Haggerty phonics, and we also dabble a little bit into Jolly phonics. And then for reading comprehension, we actually do not have a curriculum right now. So I've been helping my principal with like creating one, but our school technically uses core knowledge, which it's kind of more of like a framework than like specific curriculum. But we do pull some of our reading curriculum from that. And then for math, we use Reveal Math, if you're aware of that. I'm pretty sure most of our curriculum comes from like the Northeast US. So yeah. Is the living situation nice in Spain? And I'll tie this into like, what is it like to live in Spain, which I actually just uploaded a weekend in my life in Spain of like all of that stuff. So the living situation is nice. I would say it's very different from the US. Like, since I'm living in like a city, apartments are small. I'm walking up like 6 flights of stairs every day because we don't have an elevator, all the public transport. And so it's different in that sense. Like, my room is not like humongous, but it's also not like that small. So the living situation, I would say, is nice, but it's definitely a lot smaller than apartments in the US, or well, at least in Florida. And as far as what it's like to live in Madrid, I am constantly like walking everywhere. I actually don't really like taking the metro or the bus, so I try to walk a lot of places. There's so many restaurants. There's always so much to do. I found it fairly easy to make friends here, which was nice because there's so many international people in Madrid, and it's just a very lively city, and there's more of a mentality of work-life balance. And so when the workday is done, like, it's done, and people don't just go home and like stay at home. People are out until like 10 or 11, just like on a regular Tuesday or Wednesday night. And I think people really prioritize their social lives here and family life. So it's just a whole different vibe, like weekends are usually just like sitting on a terraza, having a drink, talking with your friends, and it's very relaxing. So that's something that I love about Madrid, is it's a big city for sure, but it doesn't have like the city hustle as much. It's because it has that like Spanish culture of like, let's chill and have a sangria. So it's wonderful in that sense. Okay, what requirements do you need to meet? Like, do you have to know the primary language spoken there? You do not need to know Spanish to teach here because you are teaching everything in English. So you don't even need to be speaking Spanish. Once you like live here for a while, you'll like start to learn it. And if you want to become a resident, you need to know the language. But in order to get a job, you do not need one at all. Do you speak Spanish? Is it a requirement? We talked about if it's a requirement. I do speak Spanish. My mother is Colombian. I do not have a Colombian accent, unfortunately. But I speak pretty well, I would say. My accent has become more madrileña over the time. Okay, so I think that's all the questions I'm going to answer right now. I guess this video turned more into like just specifically Spain. But if you want me to do another video just about being a teacher in general, please let me know. And again, thank you to MAONO for sending me the wireless headphone to try out. I'm very interested to see how it sounds now. I will see you guys in my next video. If you have more questions, please leave them in the comments. And yes, I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you feel like you know a little bit more about what it's like to be living in Madrid as a teacher. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.